Hello world and welcome back to another episode of Refined Storage, where today we're going to be covering every way that you can do things wirelessly. So starting off, if you want to do something wireless, you're going to want a way to actually be secure. For this, we're going to be using this security manager. In order to get that though, we're first going to need a network card. A network card is going to be important for later as well, so don't forget how to make this as well. This is going to require obviously our quartz enriched iron, some paper, and advanced processor. 2 of those are needed with some more quartz iron and an advanced processor for a security card, then 3 security cards, a machine casing, a chest, and more enriched iron to get ourselves a security manager. Now the security manager you're mainly going to use inside of multiplayer. All you have to do is slap it on your box standard refined storage system, and then inside you have a couple of different options. Here I've got a security card that is bound to me. When you first make a card, it's not going to be bound. In order for it to bound, someone has to shift right click with it. If you're in multiplayer, I'm not sure if someone personally has to shift right click with it or if you can shift right click it on someone else in multiplayer. That's something to try out. Now if we go inside of our security manager, what we can do is take our security card, and this allows us to modify it. At the moment I've got these 3 modifiers. If I have all of these and there's no cards actually in here, I'm unable to access this. If I put it inside with nothing selected, I am no longer able to access this. So what I can do is actually say I wanted to give myself the ability to insert, extract, and autocraft and then place this inside. I still won't be able to access things. That's because you need to have the ability to modify. This allows you to open blocks. Now if I put this inside, I'm allowed to take things in and take things out, and if I had an autocraft system set up, I could do that. However, if I deselect everything and just allow modify, this will allow me to look inside, but I can't actually take anything out or put anything in. The only other thing that you have is obviously you have build, which allows you to actually remove things from here, because if I have this deselected, even though I'm in creative mode, I won't be able to break anything because I don't have that permission. This is very powerful for when you're in the multiplayer things, and this is where wireless becomes very important. Starting off with wireless of using sort of 2 different systems together. This wireless system is going to be using a transmitter, a receiver, and then one of these handy dandy network cards. So let's get one of these network cards first. So obviously you're going to want to send a signal. This is where you're going to need a transmitter. This is made with advanced processors, a piece of netherite, machine casing, deconstruction core, a construction core, and 3 ender pearls. This will get us our transmitter. Let's take one of those. And then the exact same thing, but in reverse, is going to be our receiver. So here we go. Here we've got our box standard setup again, very similar to over here, except we don't have a security manager. Now, before we actually link everything up, you just want to note that you need to have your transmitter and your receiver both chunk loaded before you start linking, otherwise things can break. So first let's place down a receiver. The receiver is where we're going to be putting our network card in. If we right click on it, it says network card missing. This is where it's going to be. But we can't just put in a blank network card. Of course, we first have to link this. So say we want to have our receiver, say we want to have this system somewhere in a shed, somewhere else, in our main base or whatever. And then from somewhere we had, our own little sub base. So here we've got my nice little humble abode that I've been working on. I've been living it in here in my super lovely flat little world. It's not too bad, I would say. And this is where I have all machines. Now inside of here, I've got myself a second RS setup with some storage and machines. Just sort of my workshop this is. So here we go, we've got our network receiver. Now by itself, it's not doing anything. What we have to do is shift right click on our network card. Now when we hover over it, it says, okay, this is where it's going to be linked to, but everything is still not powered. What we must do now is go back to our transmitter and then place this network card back into our system over here. So at the moment we place this in, you can see that it recognizes that, oh no, we have a receiver is 50 blocks away. Now, I'm not sure if there's a maximum distance on this. I'm thinking as long as it's chunk loaded, you'll be okay. And just like that, everything is lit up and we can see everything just on the inside. And obviously, if I had my security manager on there, I could set certain permissions. So if I had my main controller be access to me, I could set people have certain permissions with their receiver in other bases. This is where you got to think of your network receiver as sort of a sub-controller. Now there is one more way that you are able to do sort of wireless things yourself, and this is by using different monitors or grids in order to actually see things in your system on your person without having to be in a specific location. First, we're going to need a different wireless transmitter. It's very different from this network transmitter. It's a wireless transmitter. The network transmitter is made with some of this in quartz enriched iron, an advanced processor, machine block, and a piece of ender pearl. Now you only get one of these per craft, and this by default extends your wireless range by 16 blocks. Now this can be slapped down anywhere on your refined storage system, so let's just place this here. Now by itself, as it says, it can transmit up to 16 blocks away, and there are certain upgrades you can put in there, but we're going to get back to that in a second. Now something else with the transmitter is if you had a load of cable, what you can actually do is extend your location without using any upgrades. So we know we can go 16 blocks away. If I place this here, it's now powered. We could go obviously 16 blocks one way, 16 blocks the other way, but then a further 16 because of that over there. So every time you place one of these, you get a maximum amount of range. Now you don't want to have these just right next to each other, because if I place one here, it would only mean that we can now go pretty much one extra block further. So you want to spread these out roughly 32 blocks apart to get your maximum amount. But I'm going to be using upgrades instead, because that seems like a bit of a horrible system, unless you're starting out, of course, because it can be quite cheap. Now, in order to see inside your system, you're going to want up to these 3 different types of grids. We've got the wireless grid, the wireless fluid grid, and the wireless crafted grid. Each one is made in the exact same way, as you can see here with the enriched iron, advanced processors, and ender pearls, but each one uses their own grid respectively, either the fluid grid, crafting monitor, blah, blah, blah. Now, this is something interesting here. The crafting monitor we'll go back to in a second, but all we have to do is when we place all these, you first must power them up. Now refined storage doesn't have its own internal way of powering things up, but if you're playing a mod pack, you most likely have a way of actually charging things. So for now, I'm going to use the wireless crafting things, but I'm going to use them in creative mode, of course. So when you get all of these, for starting off, it's going to say network not found. What you have to do is either you want to right click on your wireless transmitter, or you can right click on your controller. I prefer the controller because then it won't open up the menu. So inside of here, this is where we can see everything inside our system. We can see that we've got all this lovely stuff. We have no fluids currently stored, and we don't have anything crafting at the moment. Now you may notice that that is a pretty bad system, because that means you're going to have to carry a crafting table around you all the time, and you're going to have to take things out of your system and then do whatever you want to in here. That's a bit of a poor system. This is where we get into our first add-on, and the only thing it adds is the wireless crafting grid. It's done the exact same sort of way, you just need a crafting grid in order to craft it, and this is part of the refined storage add-on mod, and it's the only thing it actually adds. Now I'm going to be using the creative mode one, of course, and you can link this in the exact same way. Just shift right click on your controller, and now you can see everything, and you are allowed to craft within the menu, of course. Now, although this is great, obviously, you're going to end up having a full inventory of all the different grids you can get. This is where another additional mod comes into place. This is the universal grid mod. This is made with 4 diamonds, some enriched quartz iron, then a fluid grid, a wireless grid, and a wireless crafting grid. So yes, you do need the refined storage add-on as well to get the universal grid, and now you must make sure all these grids are placed in this exact way, otherwise it will not craft. The exact same thing is the case. You get it, you charge it, and then you right click it on your little controller over there. I am going to be using the obviously creative one, so I don't have to power it. Shift right click on there gives us this nice purple effect, and then inside of here we can see all these different things. Now the only thing with this is that you have to select between each different thing. So now we're in the crafting grid, then we're in the fluid grid, then we're in the regular grid. So you do have to keep switching between, but most of the time you're probably just going to stay on the crafting grid. That's what most people end up using. So now we want to go into the range of things. By default, inside of refined storage you can make the range upgrade. This is made using more enriched iron. I think everything uses this quartz enriched iron now. A regular upgrade and 3 pieces of ender pearls. Now you have to place this inside of your terminal over here. So by default it will only increase it by a little about, it's 8 each time really, and you can have up to 4 upgrades in there, giving us 48 blocks in total. So we can now craft all the way over here if you so wish, but obviously if you get too far, network will not be found. So this is where you're going to have to, if you're not using any add-ons, you're going to have to start spreading these very, very far apart. But you obviously are going to have to do long network receivers with a transmitter on it in order to extend the range wirelessly. Otherwise, you're going to have to spread cables everywhere anyway. This is where our next add-on mod comes into place. This is the refined storage infinity booster, and these are very expensive crafts. The first one is the infinity range booster. This is made using 3 range upgrades, a nether star, 3 netherite ingots, and 2 eyes of ender, and this does exactly as it says on the tin. It increases your range of your transmitter to be absolutely everywhere in the world, a very large amount of blocks. So now no matter how far we go, we can now use our any type of grid or universal grid in this way. The next upgrade is an upgrade to the Infinity Booster, because we should know, or I haven't explained yet, that the refined storage system cannot be wirelessly transferred across dimensions. This is where the dimension card comes into place, also from RS Infinity Booster. This is going to require 4 Infinity Rooster range boosters, another 4 Nether Stars, and an Eye of Ender. Now this does the exact same thing as the Infinity Booster, except there's no initial updating block. So if I take this out and put the dimension card in here, it doesn't update the blocks, but trust me, we are now infinite. We can do it again all the way from over here. And if we went to the Nether or End or any other dimension that you have inside of your mod pack, you would be able to use this as well. So pretty much you're always going to want to have these 3 add-ons with you if you want any pack. I highly recommend it, otherwise you're going to have to do a lot of tedious stuff to make your base work a little bit better. But for now, guys, that is going to be everything when it comes to refined storage and using everything and anything that is wireless. This is going to be sort of nearly the end of refined storage, so I'm going to be doing another poll down in the description or on the community tab of YouTube for you guys to vote on what mod I shall be covering next. Who knows what we're going to have on there this time. But if this video helps you out in any way, shape or form, please don't forget to leave a like and subscribe. That would really help me out, and ring the bell button to stay notified when these videos go live. But until next time, guys, take care.